They come in their hundreds, from around the corner, over the border, across the seas. For many months, maybe years, they have prepared for this moment. Perhaps it is just one day in a lifetime. Then again, it's a day that can last a lifetime.
Ironman is family.
This is the unknown.
It's willpower and determination.
It's heartache and pain. It's blood, sweat and tears.
It's overcoming limits.
It's a lifelong goal. Ironman is about being the very best that I can be.
This is the 2008 Panthers Ironman Australia Triathlon. Port Macquarie, New South Wales, a town that moves along at its own quiet pace. But once a year, it undergoes a dramatic turnaround when it hosts the Panthers Ironman Australia Triathlon. The elite fields are strong. New Caledonia's Patrick Vernay returns to defend his title. He's trying to win his third event down under after last year he also claimed Ironman Western Australia.
I like coming in Australia, and I won 2 times in 8 months. So why not 3 times in 12 months? It would be okay.
Vernay has no shortage of rivals. Switzerland's Matthias Hecht and Australians Luke McKenzie, Mitch Anderson and Luke Bell.
It's great to be racing back home in Australia. The crowd, the home crowd, the atmosphere is, amazing. And to be here in Port Macquarie with the scenery and everything, everyone talks about the beautiful beaches and the scenic bike course and run. Although it's quite hilly and challenging, it is quite beautiful. And it's been a joy to walk around town this week.
I know what this race means now. This is my 6th race here, and I want to win it badly too. This is something that I've dreamt about. I've thought about it for, the last 6 years, let alone the last 3 months. Every day has been a step towards trying to win this race.
In the women's, no one has attracted more attention than England's effervescent Chrissie Wellington, world champion after winning. She only turned professional 8 months earlier at the age of 30.
When people say you're world champion, oh no, really? And sometimes I'm training or I'm cycling along and I think, oh my God, I'm world champion, and I get a bit overcome with all this emotion.
Aussie Kate Major heads the list of challengers. She was 3rd last year at Kona, but on her home turf, who knows how she will be lifted.
Every Ironman I do, you feel like you're going into the unknown again. Like, the preparation you've done and you know how you're feeling, but you just don't know how you're going to feel on race day, which is, that's the worst part.
Race day is just 12 hours away. The journey into the unknown is about to begin. 5 o'clock Sunday morning. Cold, wet, miserable. Surely there are better places to be than here. But if you're one of 1,500 competitors, this is the only place to be.
I spent hours in the wind tunnel with this. It's very aerodynamic.
While much of the attention focuses on the elite, one of the beauties of this event is that this year there are 2 who know what it's like to be on both sides of the fence. Former Wallaby prop Ben Darwin and Aussie league great Robbie O'Davis. Ironman first-timers.
I said to some people this morning I've actually found a reason to do this triathlon. I've shaved my legs for the first time, and bloody hell it feels great. So that's pretty much the only reason I'm doing it, because it feels good having shaved legs. A few of the boys have said, why are you doing it? And what a great challenge, you know, and I think in many ways, because I go against that mode of what you'd say is physiologically adaptable to triathlon, and I don't really suit this thing, that's what makes it hard, makes it interesting.
As the final countdown begins, the rain disappears. The water temperature in the Hastings River is 19 degrees. It's just another number for those ready for the 3.8 kilometre swim leg.
You can't know what are the feelings. What are the feelings at the start? It's horrible. You are very nervous. I really don't like this moment.
You have to be apprehensive about the start. I mean, I know that people talk about the joy of the Ironman start, but I'm yet to experience that joy. All I really feel is apprehension and wanting the day to get going.
For the elite, you can't win the Ironman in the swim, but you can lose it.
I found myself on the losing end on quite a few occasions, you know, in even WA last year. You know, I was 6 minutes swim, and you just sort of think, well, if I had been in touch earlier, you know, could I have made that extra time? The answer, again, is hypothetical, but probably yes.
It's that initial frantic kind of 200-metre sprint at the start, and I will try and go all out at the start of the swim to try and get myself in a good position.
As the field spreads, Australian professionals Luke McKenzie and Cameron Watt set the pace. Queensland's Sarah Pollitt leads the women's. The tactics of the front runners is obvious. Get in a pack and settle on someone's feet where energy may be conserved. A long way back, Ben Darwin just keeps on ploughing. He can only turn his head one way, the result of a neck injury he sustained in the 2003 Rugby World Cup semi-final against New Zealand. It ended his career and changed his life forever.
It was the same kind of injury that Christopher Reeve had, so it's a top couple of vertebrae sort of shifted in and out, and I lost all feeling below my chin. So for that little period on the field, there were certainly things popping through my head about maybe not being around anymore or being in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, and that kind of hit home a bit later when you see your family and the look in their eyes. And so whilst at the time it wasn't too scary, later on down the track when I realised how bad things could have been, and when you meet other people for whom their life is in a wheelchair, then you kind of think, you know, I'll be a very, very lucky boy. And I'll admit I've had a pretty difficult time since retiring, but for me, doing this Ironman is a bit sort of coming full circle and saying, okay, that part of my life's now over. I used to be a footballer, now I'm going to do something else, and so it feels nice to sort of complete that period of my life with finishing an Ironman.
Ben and some others in the field will be in the water for more than 100 minutes, at least twice as long as the elite. Approaching the finish, it appears Mackenzie will be first out of the water, but in the final few strokes, Cameron Watt has other ideas. His time, 46 minutes 57. Peak hour suddenly hits the river's edge and transition area. Matthias Hecht is third out, 47 seconds behind Watt. Luke Bell is close by. Every moment counts when the field includes such class athletes as this 34-year-old father of one.
That's our defending champion from New Caledonia, Patrick Vernay.
Vernay clocks the sixth fastest time, nearly 4 minutes off the pace. The most notable athlete missing from the top finishers, Mitch Anderson, in 16th, more than 5 minutes behind Watt. Queensland's Sarah Pollitt is the first woman out of the water in 52 minutes 1 second. Wellington is second, nearly a minute and a half behind. You could be excused for thinking she has just arrived at a party.
Hopefully I'll have a smile on my face for most, if not all of the day.
Little separates the top women. Fourth placed Kate Major is just 2 seconds behind Tasmania's Amelia Pearson. Both have Wellington in their sights. Strong cyclist Lisa Morangan is fifth. As hundreds of feet hit the ground, others clip in and begin spinning. The 180-kilometre Avanti bike leg over 3 laps. Mackenzie quickly takes the lead. With a boxing kangaroo prominent on his helmet, is he ready for the fight that will follow? After 10 kilometres, the 26-year-old Queenslander has a 42-second lead over Matthias Hecht. Luke Bell is third, a further minute back.
You put your head down and you'll pedal for the first half hour, and then you'll settle down. I choose to run off a stopwatch, so every 15 or 20 minutes I'll have a bit of a drink, maybe a power bar, power gel out there, and that'll work like clockwork for the next 4.5 hours for me. It's a matter of staying on top of the nutrition.
Bell will need all his determination to stay focused. He has floating bones in his right knee, an unpredictable injury that may swell up or not trouble him at all. He's also battling to overcome family sadness. This won't be known publicly until the end of the race. It is a heart-wrenching day. By the 30-kilometre mark in the women's, Kate Major has taken the lead, pushing out to a 1-minute advantage over Chrissy Wellington. Lisa Morangan is third.
I'm not going to go out like it's an Olympic distance triathlon. I'm going to take each loop and try and build on that, and basically enjoy the downhill, get as much speed as I can for the uphill, and just keep it nice and steady.
Such is the epic nature of this race, the elite are well into the bike leg while the everyday are just finishing the swim. Among them, Trudy Needs, who has recently turned 50. This is her first Ironman.
Just wanted to do one for such a long time, and now's my time, I hope.
Trudy is a mother of 6. Her husband Peter, a veteran Ironman, has already passed through transition. His thoughts will be with her all day.
I've told her to enjoy the day. That's a big thing. Relax, enjoy the day. It's fully catered. You get 17 hours, get your money's worth.
Ben Darwin is certainly doing that.
Good morning. It was longer than I thought. It felt like about 5Ks, but...
Hey mate, you go to enjoy your day, eh?
Oh, I'm going to try to.
Yeah, they'll hook you out again.
Of all the competitors who have come to Port Macquarie, few are more inspiring than 25-year-old Matt O'Neill from Ballarat, country Victoria. This is his third Ironman Australia. He is addicted to the sport. Just a few years ago, his life was very different.
Yeah, at the age of 16, I kind of got pretty much into drugs at a young age, and pretty much for 6 years I was very up and down. Like I was pretty much on drugs. I think there were 4 years I was pretty much taking drugs every day. 5 years I was taking drugs every day. So pretty much by the time I was 20, I'd tried every drug under the sun: heroin, cocaine, acid, speed, ketamine, whatever it was. I'd done it. We'd start Friday night and pretty much finish Monday without sleeping, and then use marijuana to calm us down for the rest. And then Thursday would come and Friday would come, we'd be back on it.
A risky existence that reached its lowest during a holiday with some mates 3 years ago.
We went to Cairns and we went up there and we partied for 5 days straight. We didn't sleep one day. And we'd come back and I'd come down pretty hard, and it was pretty bad. Like it was nearly, I got to a stage where I got off it a little bit then, I got back on it, and I was that weak, like of partying that hard. Like it nearly drove me to suicide. So that's when I kind of thought, yeah, been doing a little bit of running before that, and then I thought, nah, this is it. I want to triathlons, I want to get into it.
And so the turnaround to his life began. Off the drugs cold turkey and into fitness.
And then it just pretty much went from there, and it kept on going, and as I kept on going, I got more of a hunger. That's definitely my life, yeah. I love it.
The O'Neill name is well known to Ironman. Today, Matt's mum and dad, brother and 2 sisters are all competing and raising money for the Kids Foundation, the official charity of Ironman Australia. It supports children recovering from serious injuries. The bike leg grinds on. At the 60k turnaround, Mackenzie and Hecht are together in the lead. Vernay and Bell are nearly 4 minutes behind, while swim leader Cameron Watt will soon retire. Anderson is nearly 6 minutes off the pace and having problems with a loose aero bar. Worries or not, the best cyclist in the race knows he must make an impact here. The bike course is challenging, with a number of steep climbs, including Timex Heart Rate Hill. All will test every single rider. Such challenges are easily conquered by the world champion Wellington. She's third at 60k, just over 2 minutes behind Major, who holds a slight advantage over Morangan.
I pretend that I'm not leading, just so I don't ease up or I don't have any thoughts of anything like that. I just think, okay, you're in a good position, but you got to keep going the same speed, or you can try and pick it up a notch.
Talking about race tactics is still a relative novelty for Wellington. To say she has enjoyed a rapid rise in her sport is a grand understatement. Isn't your typical pro athlete. She has a degree in economic geography and a master's in international development. Before turning seriously to triathlon, she spent more than a year managing a water and sanitation project in Nepal.
Hey, 4 seasons in a day we're getting today. Enjoying it, but everyone's got to do it. It's great. Love it.
Rain, hills, wind, and the distance itself. Who will conquer all?
Do you think I'm far behind the leaders?
Those leaders are still Mackenzie and Hecht, together at the halfway mark. While Vernay is third, 4.5 minutes back. He must do much of his work alone. Anderson is 6 minutes 23 behind in 4th spot. Luke Bell has dropped to 9th. In the women's, Major still leads, but Wellington is a little more than a minute behind as she rides with Morangan. As the bike leg enters its final stages, there is one certainty. Mackenzie is the one everyone has to catch. He comes into town for the final time, still a matter of seconds in front of Hecht. Hours after the race began, Mackenzie heads into the last daunting discipline, 42.2 kilometres, the marathon. There is a long way to go as those behind him desperately chase down every second. Not surprisingly, Anderson has made up some time. He is third into transition after clocking the day's fastest bike leg. 4 hours, 42 minutes, 20 seconds. In transition, every single moment counts. Vernay is 4th, nearly 6 minutes behind Mackenzie and 3 behind Anderson. New South Welshman Nathan Stewart and Port Macquarie's very own Tim Burkle make up the top 6. Their race times just a second apart. Most interest though is on Vernay, a brilliant runner. In the final stages of the women's, Wellington closes in on Major. At a time in the event when tiredness can take its toll, the world champion is well equipped.
There are going to be dark times in the race. It might come in the swim, the bike, or, or the run. For me, I refer back to times in my life where I've managed to overcome challenges and adversity, and I think that makes me stronger. I cycled across the Himalayas with my friends from Lhasa to Kathmandu, and that was about 1,300 k. We did it on mountain bikes off-road, but we were going through storms and 90 k/h winds, and we left our bikes outside and they all froze. And things like that make you realise that you can overcome physical challenges and come through the other side.
Into the final stages, a telling move. Wellington overtakes Major to assume the lead.
I think if you feel strong and you feel confident, then the front is the very best place to be.
She comes into transition 79 seconds ahead of Major. The race is now 6 hours old, and some experts say it is only now that it really begins. When Major starts her final leg, it seems that this has become a race in two. Morangan is third into transition, but she is 9 minutes behind and with an injury that forces her out of the race. This means West Australian Joanne Bennett is the nearest chaser, 18 minutes off the pace. More good news for Port Macquarie. Local Melinda Cockshut is fourth. Three laps of a 14-kilometre course by the water and up some hills. It may be a postcard for an outsider, but for the competitors, it's tough work. At the 6K mark, Mackenzie earns a $1,000 bonus when he is first through the power bar zone. Behind him, the moves are starting to happen. Anderson closes in on Hecht and will soon be second. The former doctor and now full-time athlete takes a scientific approach to this most demanding discipline.
If you see a heart rate drop by 5 or 10 beats over a relatively short period of time, then you think, well, my gut's probably not emptying so well. I'm probably not getting as much glucose into my blood. You know, I try and apply some physiological principles to why my heart rate might have dropped. Or alternately, you know, if your heart rate's getting too high, then you think, well, I'm probably getting a bit too close to my threshold, so I should just back it off just a touch.
As powerful as the heart may be, it's the sound of footsteps that tell Anderson more. By the end of the first lap, he's been overtaken by Vernay. This is the part of the day the New Caledonian relishes. Wellington joins Mackenzie as first through the power bar zone. She's running at sub 3 hour pace. Different shapes, different sizes, different reasons to be here. The Panthers Ironman Australia unites a special breed of person. As people such as rugby league great Robbie O'Davis discovers, there is nothing truer than the old sporting cliche of taking one step at a time. That saying strikes a poignant meaning for Brett Sheldrake.
You know, someone says that to you, you may or may not die, I suppose. It's kind of changes your focus a little bit, you know. It's like playing a little bit of Russian roulette or something, you know. It's definitely something that I didn't expect.
In 1999, at just 23, he was diagnosed with Hodgkinson's lymphoma, cancer.
Father would come and pick me up from the hospital, take me home, and for the next 3 to 5 days I would have what I called my sort of chemo hangover, and it was the worst hangover I would ever have. You then recover for another week and you just do it all again.
He is now well. The former member of New Zealand's Olympic triathlon squad sees striking parallels between his fight for life and what everyone endures in the Ironman.
The Ironman sort of lasts, 9 hours or something like this, and I'd spend sort of 7-8 hours on bags of chemo and just feel progressively worse. So there are some sort of parallels there, and you can't help but be taken back. And when I'm suffering really bad, I just take a little jog down memory lane and think where I once was, and maybe things aren't so bad.
The ASICS run leg. The further it goes, the more it becomes a battle of the mind.
The mind does play such a huge role in Ironman, and you do break down the course into little sections. I think if you think about the distances of Ironman on the start line, you'll be thinking, what am I doing here?
Bell knows he cannot win. His sights are now set on a top 6 spot to qualify for Kona, Hawaii. He's also thinking of his family. Ahead of him, the expected has happened. By the halfway stage, Vernay is in the lead, 18 seconds ahead of Mackenzie and pulling further away. Anderson also overtakes Mackenzie, and with 10 kilometres to go, he holds a 3-minute buffer over third as the Ironman enters its cruelest stage.
Look, the race becomes almost entirely mental in the last 10, 15 Ks of the run. I think that, pretty much anyone can be racing on the bike. Pretty much everyone can be racing on the swim. But not everyone is racing on the final 15 Ks of the run. And that's where, really the wheat gets separated from the chaff.
Into the final kilometres, the only changes among the front runners are to third spots. Hecht overtakes Mackenzie, and what a moment for Port Macquarie's Melinda Cockshutt, passing Joanne Bennett and building a greater memory with every single step. Patrick Vernay may not be a local, but Australia has become his second home. After a long day, it is only now the celebrations can really begin. This, his third win down under in a year. Victory in 8 hours, 31 minutes, 33 seconds.
Yes, of course, it was a very long day because I was alone all the time. I swim the second lap alone, and on the bike I was alone, always alone. And I tried not to be too far from the first man. And when I started to run, I know I was only 5 minutes behind, and I was very confident with my marathon. So I went fast for the two first laps, and finally, with all the people who were encouraging, it was fantastic, and I'm very happy for that third victory in Australia.
Far out, I've just absolutely given it everything today, and I'm so proud to be the first Australian at the Australian Championships. I'm claiming the Aussie title. I've kept my end of the bargain. My wife and I had a pact at the start of the year. She won the Australian Cycling Time Trial Championships, and I'm claiming the Australian Ironman Championships today.
The weary Het, 2.5 minutes further back. Few receive a bigger cheer than the fourth home, Tim Burkle.
What a performance! He's from Port Macquarie! Please welcome home, local triathlete, local legend, Mr. Tim Burkle!
Mackenzie, front runner for most of the day, finishes fifth. Luke Bell runs strongly to come sixth. Tired and upset, he reveals the added weight he has carried throughout the day.
Yeah, a bit after, yesterday afternoon, a bit after 2 o'clock, I got a call from my parents just informing my grandfather had passed away. So I guess I was out there today, and yeah, this finisher's medal will be definitely for him. So.
Despite the hardship, Bell has still secured a spot for Hawaii on the day another Pacific island is in the spotlight. Over the final few kilometres, Chrissy Wellington basks in the glow of her achievement. She has run the third fastest time of the day, men included. 31 years old, still a novice in her sport, yet with a growing list of achievements, the envy of her rivals. She wins in a course record 9 hours, 3 minutes 55 seconds. Only 8 men have beaten her across the line.
Yeah, it was a real tough day in the office. Kate gave me a really good run for my money, but it was the most enjoyable race I've ever done. The crowd support was absolutely fantastic, and I want to say thank you to everybody out there that turned out, because it's absolutely amazing, and I'm really, really, really grateful. Thank you so, so much. And this is for my mum and dad and my granddad, who passed away, but I still remember him, and when the going got tough, he was in the forefront of my mind. Thank you.
All right, Chrissy Wellington, everybody, you're champion. Great, doing a fantastic race today. Chrissy Wellington waiting for her race. Congratulating one another.
Yeah, I mean, everyone gave it all they had, and it was just who had it left at the end. And yeah, Chrissy just stepped that pace up a little more, and left us all to chase, and that's what we did, and no one caught her. Yeah, it's a good start to the year, and now I can just build on that until Hawaii in October.
None are more pleased than 33-year-old Melinda Cockshut, an age grouper who has outshone all but 2 of the elite to finish third. It is tied from 4th through to 6th. Drew Oswald just a second in front of Sarah Pollitt and Alison Coyle just a further 37 seconds back. 5 Aussies in the first 6, but top billing belongs to England. Brent Sheldrake, Matt O'Neill finished their races near the top end of the field.
I didn't want to quit, I just wanted to get here. Geez, that was a hard day. Jesus. Oh, it means a lot, mate. I can't wait to come back next year and have a crack again.
But for Robbie O'Davis, this is a once-only effort. 10.5 hours of pushing himself to the limit.
That's it, definitely a harder sport than football, this one. The emotion coming down that tunnel there at the end was similar, same feeling, 97, 2001 grand final was just something I never felt, but it all goes too quick. You know, when you live the moment, it all happens, and all of a sudden you sort of forget about it, and I'll put my head on the pillow tonight. If I do put my head on the pillow, I'll sit back and reflect, and that's when it'll kick in on, geez, what have I just achieved?
As the day fades, the strides shorten and the stops at the Gatorade hydration stations become longer. For those still out on the course, this is a tough day.
A very long day.
You going or like
This one, thank you.
Keep going and going and going. You'll get there. And when you do, you never know what might happen. Once married to another sport, Ben Darwin finishes in over 14 hours. His body is sapped, but his emotions keep running.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I fell in a bit of a hole a couple of times, and it's funny because I kept thinking about finish and I kept breaking into tears and stuff, and thought about my family and thought about the reasons I'm doing it, and so that was quite hard during the day, just to try to keep my emotions right. And about 20 k's in, I wanted to walk, but I made a promise to myself I'd run the whole way of the marathon, even through the breaks, so I got to do that, and that's probably the most satisfying thing.
Peter Needs finishes his 12th Ironman Australia and waits for his wife Trudy in her first.
She's worked really hard for this and put a lot of work into it, and it's something she's always wanted to do, and she's finally achieved it.
An Ironman! Yeah, it's good.
Mother and daughter, Susie and Kate, complete a memorable day for the O'Neill family. All 6 have made it home. And still they come. First timer Tim Weston among them. Just another name who has made his name in Port Macquarie, New South Wales. The cut-off time for the Panthers Ironman Australia is 17 hours. You could fly from Sydney to Los Angeles in that time. But for the final competitor, the journey has lasted much longer. A year ago, he was 122 kilograms, and the likelihood of becoming an Ironman was as distant as the stars. but he vowed he would breach them. Now he is 90 kilograms and has raised a race record for the Kids Foundation. Together with his family, he knows this is his time. All 16 hours, 55 minutes and 54 seconds of it. John Palmer is an Ironman. 1,411 finishes, some with goals and dreams achieved, others with them broken. But for those who dare to believe, there are more finish lines calling them.
Digital post production.